Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to tie off and add new thread to your right angle weave bead weaving. So to demonstrate this, I've made a little strip of right angle weave using some bicones here. These are 4 millimeters. I'm going to be using the smoke FireLine just so it's easy for you to see. And then the only other thing you'll need during your project is a pair of snips. So I have those here ready. So I've gotten to a good point, I think. I usually like to tie off my thread when I have about 8 inches or so, just because I want to make sure that I have enough to make my knots. So very simply, so you can see I'm coming out this bead, and it actually doesn't matter where your bead is actually, or I'm sorry, where your thread is coming out. You can actually just sort of follow the path back down. So I'm just simply going to go around that last unit I added and through the next bead. The trick with right angle weave is just always keep going on the thread path. You don't ever want to cross your threads in those nice little center pockets that you have. So as long as you sort of keep going down through the adjacent beads, you should be fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my needle and I'm going to catch the thread bridge that's under one of those thread passes there. And all I'm going to do is pull through, take my needle back through the loop, and just tie a nice little knot. So that's my first knot. I like to do 2 knots, so I'm just going to keep weaving back down and back down through the next bead here. And I'm going to make one more little knot here. Again, catching that thread bridge. You can see my needle's caught under there. Going through that loop, and there's my last little knot. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to weave through the next bead, through the next bead, and you can sort of make as many knots as you feel that you need to secure it, but I like to end with my thread coming in towards the center, because now I'm just going to remove my needle, take my snips, and just get this in my fingers for you. There you go. And just snip off that thread. There we go. So that it's nice and clean and facing towards the center. That way it keeps you from having all your little tails out here towards the side. So that's how you tie off your thread. Nice and seamless, and you don't see any of those little knots. Now we're just going to take a new length of thread. And I don't need something too long. Go. And just thread my needle. So now I have my needle thread with my new length of FireLine here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go up sort of the opposite side here. And what I'm going to start by doing is I'm just going to start weaving in, leaving a tail, and just weave up. And now I'm going to go around here. And again, all you need to do is just follow that thread path. I'm going to make a little knot by going underneath that thread bridge. Going through that loop. And keep my tail out of the way so you can see. And now just continue to weave up and around until you get back to your sort of starting point where you came out with your needle beforehand. And again, I recommend making at least 2 knots. I think that tends to make it nice and secure. So I'm going to make another little knot here, catching only one thread bridge. Again, just go back through that loop and pull tight. And now you can see that my thread is really in there, which is what you want. Go up through, and now I'm going to go through that bead there, and now I'm ready to add on my beads and continue my right angle weave. See? So there you go. Very easy way to tie off and add in thread, and then when you go back you can always just snip off those little tails that you have at the end. So it's nice and seamless. So that is how to tie off and add new thread in right angle weave, and this works for a lot of bead weaving, but I just wanted to show you this great example of how to do it very easily with right angle weave. You can find more videos and more projects at Beadaholique.com.